Be acquainted with Plato. Plato was a prominent student of Socrates and later became the teacher of Aristotle. Plato's writings build on and expand Socrates' idea. After Socrates' execution, he founded the Academia School in Athens. This is where we get our word academic. The academy became a center of learning, research, and philosophical discussion for several centuries. It is a teacher-centered when it comes to framework and approach. Plato was a writer. He wrote dialogues and the Republic. In the dialogue, Socrates was featured as a main character while other philosophers and sophists are engaging in discussions. The dialogues cover a wide range of topics, including ethics, politics, metaphysics, epistemology, and more. In the Republic, Plato talked about how a perfect country could work. He said it should be led by a philosopher king and they should care about fairness, being good, and how to get things done. After Plato died, some of his students took charge the academy, sharing the job of teaching Plato's ideas. Aristotle, however, was one of the most prominent and accomplished students. He studied at the academy for about 20 years and became deeply immersed in Plato's philosophy. Despite Aristotle's significant contribution and his close relationship with Plato, there were also differences in their philosophical views and approaches. Plato's legacy continued through his student Aristotle, who founded his own school and developed his own philosophical system, who will even challenge and contradict with the philosophy of his mentor, Plato. This is one of the ultimate transcendence or transformation being made by Plato to his students. Plato claimed that the real truth is in our ideas. He believed that the things we see around us are like not so great copies of perfect things in a special world where he called the theory of ideas or forms. These perfect things never change as they show the true meaning of everything. The stuff we can touch and see in the real world is just like shadows of these perfect things. You can think of this like the modern concept of heaven. Plato believed that our knowledge is innate or inborn. He believed we can't really know things just by looking at them. Real knowledge comes from thinking about the forms. Like his predecessor, Socrates, he believes that our soul possesses knowledge, beauty, justice, love, and perfection. Plato had this deep idea that when our soul joined our bodies, we kind of forget all the soul's possessions. But he said that our bodies and souls fit together even though our bodies are not as perfect as our souls. Plato emphasized the importance of education in shaping individuals and society. He advocated that school would lead individuals toward understanding the forms and developing virtues character. Some of his works are ethics, epistemology, metaphysics, aesthetics, and social and political philosophy. Building on the ideas of his teacher Socrates, Plato discussed the nature of the soul and its connection to the world of forms. The soul is the principle of life and movement. The body is innate. The soul animates the body. The reason constitutes the awareness of the goal or value. This is the decision maker or the ego in Freud's theory. By the way, Freud's work was direct inspiration of Plato's philosophy. The spirit is the drive toward action, the neutral at first but responds to the direction of reason. It is the superego in Freud's theory. The appetite is the desire for the things of the body, which commonly oriented on maximizing pleasure and avoidance of pain. It is the id in Freud's theory. To understand Plato's theory on the soul, let us familiarize with the allegory of the chariot. Plato's allegory of the chariot is a metaphorical story he used to explain the nature of the soul and its relationship to reason, spirit, and appetite. This allegory can be found in his dialogue, Phaedrus. In the allegory, Plato compares the soul to a charioteer driving a chariot pulled by two horses. The charioteer represents reason or rationality, while the two horses, white and black horse, symbolize different aspects of human nature. The white horse is well behaved, noble, righteous, and full of spirit. It already knows the right thing to do. It is the conscience in our modern day understanding. The black horse is unruly, wild, and driven by base desires and appetites. It represents our lower desires, like physical pleasures and indulgence. The black horse loves pleasure and avoids pain. The charioteer's task, which is our mind or reason, is to guide the two horses towards their destination. The charioteer uses reason to steer the chariot and control both horses, especially the black horse, aiming to keep them in harmony and alignment, or the so-called virtue. The allegory of the chariot emphasizes the importance of reason and self-control in guiding ourselves and impulses toward the pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, and moral virtue. In his famous allegory found in the Republic, Plato illustrated his epistemological ideas through the allegory of the cave. He described prisoners in a cave who mistake shadows on the wall for reality, symbolizing the way most people perceive the world without recognizing the higher realm of the forms. Allegory means a narrative of story that uses symbols, characters, and events to convey a deeper moral, philosophical, or symbolic message. It often involves using a fictional scenario or set of circumstances to represent and communicate broader ideas, themes, or concepts. It symbolizes a particular scenario to portray message. There are prisoners chained in a cave, unable to turn their heads since birth. All they can see is the wall of the cave. The puppeteers who are behind the prisoners hold up puppets that cast shadows on the wall of the cave. The prisoners are unable to see these puppets, the real objects that pass behind them. What the prisoners see and hear are shadows and echoes cast by objects that they do not see. They would think that the things they see on the wall were real. Suddenly, one prisoner escapes and goes out the cave. The light hurts his eyes and finds his new environment disorienting. He discovered that the shadows are just imitation of what is real. The prisoner returned to cave, inviting the prisoners to discover the reality outside the cave, and they resisted his invitation and feel satisfied on what they have and know inside the cave. Let us have a simple learning activity to better understand Plato's allegory of the cave. Please select the correct answer from the provided options or statements. What do the sun try to symbolize? A, the source of everything we can see. B, the source of wisdom. C, the source of knowledge. D, the source of life. So the answer is A, the source of everything we can see. The origin of all things, it is the source of the forms or ideas. Sun takes on a broader symbolic meaning as a source of everything we can see. Wisdom, knowledge are the rays of that sun. Number two, what does the cave try to symbolize? Cave of appearance, cave of reality, cave of truth, or cave of ignorance? Time's up. In Plato's allegory of the cave symbolizes the realm of ignorance and the limitations of our perceptions. The prisoners in the cave represent people who are confined to a narrow view of reality, only perceiving shadows and echoes of the true world. Number three, what do the shadow try to symbolize? Dark objects, reflection of what is real, origin of what is real, true object. Time's up. In Plato's Allegory of the Cave, the shadows symbolize the limited and distorted perception that people have of reality when they are confined to the cave. The prisoners in the cave can only see the shadows of objects cast by the light of a fire behind them. These shadows are reflection of what is real. Number four, what do the former prisoner try to symbolize? Dependent on the shadows, dependent on the reality, discoverer of the reality, discoverer of the shadow. Time's up. The answer is discoverer of the reality. In Plato's Allegory of the Cave, the former prisoner symbolizes someone who has broken free from the limitations of the cave and has gained a deeper understanding of the reality. Number five, what do the inner cave try to symbolize? The world of ideas or the world of senses? In Plato's Allegory of the Cave, the inner cave symbolizes the realm of senses and the physical world, which is a lower level of reality compared to the higher realm of the form of ideas. Number six, what do the outside cave try to symbolize? The world of ideas or the world of senses? Time's up. In Plato's Allegory of the Cave, the outside the cave symbolizes the higher realm of reality, the world of ideas or forms. It represents ultimate truth and perfect reality. Number seven, who is the former prisoner in the cave? Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Pythagoras. Time's up. The answer is the former prisoner represents Socrates, who is depicted as the enlightened philosopher. Number eight, what does the light is trying to symbolize? Education, knowledge, wisdom, ignorance. Time's up. In Plato's Allegory of the Cave, the light symbolizes knowledge. The prisoners in the cave are initially in darkness, only seeing the shadows on the wall. When one of the prisoners is freed and exposed to the light outside the world, it represents the acquisition of knowledge. Let us discuss Plato's theory of the divided line or the theory of forms. Plato's theory of the divided line is an important philosophical concept presented in his work, The Republic. This theory serves as a model for understanding the levels of reality, knowledge, and cognition. It provides a framework for comprehending different degrees of understanding and awareness. Plato's theory of the divided line serves as a model for understanding the levels of reality from mere objects to concepts or forms. The theory provides the hierarchy of reality. The visible world or the world of senses on the lower levels, while the world of forms or ideas on the higher levels. In the theory of the divided line, Plato distinguished between opinion or doxa and true knowledge or episteme. Plato attributed opinion to Heraclitus, who theorized that there is a constant change since opinion is always changing. Knowledge is attributed to Parmenides, who theorized that there is permanence, as permanent statements are qualification to consider it as a knowledge. Plato posited that the physical world is a reflection of a higher realm of eternal and unchanging forms that represent the true essence of things. The sense experience of appearances, wherein these are taken as true reality, lies in the process of imagining. This is the lowest form of knowing, since it is in the stage that our mind does not know that it is a shadow or an image that is has confronted. Images are just imitation and reflection of what is real. In believing, we tend to feel a strong sense of sureness when we observe visible and tangible things. Seeing constitutes only believing, because even it is based on seeing, it is still on the stage of opinion. We believe the things that are known to us, the one that we sense. When a person moves to thinking, he moves from the visible world to the intelligible world, from the realm of opinion to the realm of knowledge. For Plato, thinking and reasoning from hypothesis gives us knowledge of truth. Scientific and mathematical objects are the best objects under the mode of this thought. In understanding, the synoptic view of reality implies with the unity of knowledge, procedures from critical analyzing, abstracting, and associating ideas. The forms are the immaterial and indestructible object under understanding. The theory of the divided line or the theory of forms has implications for education and philosophy. Plato believed that education should guide individuals from lower levels of understanding to higher levels of insight. It emphasizes the importance of seeking genuine understanding and not stopping at mere opinion or belief. When it comes to political philosophy, Plato articulated the necessity of having an ideal state which he described in the Republic. Plato expressed concern about democracy in his philosophical works, particularly in his dialogue, The Republic. He was critical to Athenian democracy and raised questions about its effectiveness and the realities of those chosen as leaders. Plato believed that Athenian democracy had its shortcomings. He was skeptical of the way leaders were chosen based on popularity or public speaking skills rather than their knowledge, virtue, or competence to govern. He thought that this approach could lead to leaders who were not truly qualified to make important decisions for the society's well being. Plato's proposed solution was not necessarily to suspend democracy entirely, but rather to reform it. He suggested that the rulers should be individuals who have achieved a high level of intellectual and moral development through education in philosophy. He believed that a society guided by philosopher kings would be more just and harmonious as they would make decisions with a focus on the common good and the pursuit of truth. In Plato's perfect society, there are different groups of people with different jobs. The first group, called workers or artisans, is the lowest one. Their primary focus is on producing goods and providing essential services that support the material needs of the society. These workers do all sorts of jobs, various trades and crafts, such as farming, manufacturing, and trading. They're the ones who create the things everyone needs to live and use. Their work is really important because it keeps the whole community going and helps the economy stay steady. In Plato's ideal society, there's a group of people called soldiers or guardians. They are like the middle class. These folks have an important job. They protect and defend the state from any harm. To make sure they are good at their job, these guardians get strong training, both in their bodies and in being good and fair. They learn how to be brave, disciplined, and do their duty well. Their main tasks are to keep things peaceful within the society and to guard against any dangers from the outside. These guardians are also supposed to care more about the whole group's well being than about themselves. The philosopher kings are the rulers and leaders of Plato's ideal state. They represent the highest class and possess the qualities of wisdom, knowledge, and virtue. The philosopher kings are individuals who are undergone extensive philosophical education and have gained insight into the nature of reality, including the realm of the forms or ideas. Their understanding of truth and justice enables them to make wise and just decisions for the society. They rule with a focus on the well being of the entire community rather than personal gain.